The earth hung silent in the void, surrounded by shadows that moved like living storms. Hundreds of alien warships, sleek, massive, and alive with glowing blue symbols, orbited the planet in a tightening ring. Each ship's cannon could erase a city in seconds. Every telescope on Earth saw them. Every human eye turned upward in fear. Yet the skies were quiet. No warning shots, no surrender orders. Just an eerie transmission repeating across every channel in a language no human had ever heard before. The Galactic Council had come. Inside the United Nations orbital station, Commander Lewis stood before the wide viewport, staring at the alien armada. His reflection glimmered faintly against the glass, his jaw tight, his voice calm. "They've surrounded us but haven't fired," he said. "That means they still want to talk. Get the linguistics team ready." Beside him, Admiral Reyes looked more soldier than diplomat. "They're not here for a conversation, sir. That formation isn't defensive. It's an execution circle." Lewis didn't blink. "Then we better make them doubt their aim." The transmission translated at last through the new AI filters. The message was cold, formal, and terrifyingly certain. Humanity stands accused of violating interstellar peace. The Council will now judge your species. The alien ships shifted, parting in perfect unison to reveal a single vessel larger than a continent, a floating cathedral of light and metal. That was the Council's judgment vessel, where entire civilizations had been condemned before. Within hours, the human fleet formed, small, scattered, fragile beside the alien armada. Old cruisers, defense satellites, a few prototype ships built more for research than war. Yet every one of them faced outward, engines burning steady blue. The world below watched in silence as Earth's last defenders positioned themselves between home and annihilation. Reyes crossed his arms. "Even if they give us a chance to speak, who listens to a species still learning to walk among the stars?" Lewis turned toward him. "Those who underestimate us always regret it." That was the moment when the humans received their summons, a blinding beam of golden light from the Council ship. It enveloped Lewis and three others, pulling them upward into the alien chamber where the fate of Earth would be decided. The Galactic Council chamber was not made of walls or metal. It was built from sound and color, a shimmering sphere of living energy. Each delegate floated in a sphere of their own atmosphere, gaseous beings, scaled giants, and crystalline minds humming with light. In the center stood the humans, fragile, small, and breathing borrowed air. A deep, layered voice filled the chamber. "Representatives of Earth, you have spread chaos in systems that do not belong to you. You have weaponized emotion and fear. You are unpredictable and dangerous. Your species must be restricted." Lewis raised his head. "We defended ourselves. You call it chaos. We call it survival." Whispers moved like wind among the alien seats. The voice spoke again, colder this time. "Survival does not excuse violence. You killed Drail explorers in the Vega Rim." Reyes stepped forward. "They attacked first. We just happened to shoot straighter." Murmurs spread again, louder. One of the crystalline delegates pulsed in disapproval. "You see? Primitive defiance. They speak with aggression even now." Lewis took a breath. "Maybe because you keep calling us primitive." The chamber fell silent. Alien eyes turned toward him. He looked small, but his words carried weight. "You call us violent. You call us emotional. But you misunderstand what you see. Every species here learned peace through dominance. We learned it through empathy. We fight not to conquer, but to live free." The Council speaker's eyes glowed red. "You speak boldly for one who stands accused." Lewis smiled faintly. "You haven't heard bold yet." He gestured to the holographic projector on his wrist. The chamber filled with light, images of Earth's achievements appearing one after another. Satellites orbiting Mars, cities rising from oceans, quantum AI solving diseases faster than light could travel. Then came the wars. Old footage of humans fighting not aliens but themselves, followed by rebuilding, forgiveness, renewal. "Every time we destroy," Lewis said softly, "we rebuild stronger. Every time we fall, we rise. Not because we're perfect, but because we refuse to stay broken." For a moment, even the glowing Council chamber dimmed. A delegate from the Drail Consortium leaned forward, its scaled jaws tightening. "You speak as if you matter, but your kind has existed for barely a blink. Your voices are noise in the galaxy's song." Lewis stared up at the creature. "Maybe, but sometimes noise becomes music." The alien's eyes narrowed. You think you can charm us with words? Lewis took a step forward. Words build our world. Words stopped our wars, and now they'll save it. The council speaker raised a hand. Enough. You stand here not to boast, but to be judged. The council finds humanity guilty of recklessness. The penalty is protection under supervision. Your military will disband. Your voice in the galaxy will be silenced. Reyes turned sharply toward Lewis, but the ambassador didn't move. He simply stared at the speaker, unflinching. You think silencing us will bring peace? The speaker's glowing eyes locked onto him. It will bring order, Lewis nodded slowly. Then order will fail. Before the guards could move, Lewis activated the second part of the holographic feed. It wasn't just Earth's technology this time. It was the hidden recordings of the first encounter, the moment Drail ships fired on human explorers despite peace signals. The truth played out for all to see, unedited, undeniable. Gasps rippled through the chamber. Several delegates turned their eyes toward the Drail representative, who froze under the light of exposure. The council murmured in confusion. Lewis didn't stop there. We came to the stars looking for neighbors, not masters. You judged us without listening. You feared what you couldn't predict, but that fear says more about you than us. The council chamber erupted in noise, arguments, accusations, and disbelief flooding the air. Through it all, Lewis stood still, his expression calm but fierce. When the noise died down, the speaker spoke again, voice lower now. Perhaps there are truths we must reconsider. Reyes looked at Lewis, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. You actually made them think, Lewis exhaled. Thinking's the first step. Listening is the next. But outside the chamber, the alien fleets were shifting again. The Drail Consortium wasn't going to accept humiliation. Their warships began forming attack patterns around the judgment vessel. The tension inside the chamber broke into panic as warning signals blared. The speaker turned sharply toward Lewis. You see what your defiance brings? Lewis shook his head. No, what their fear brings. Admiral Reyes opened a comm channel through his wristband. Admiral to Horizon's Edge, prepare the defensive grid. No fire until fired upon. Back on Earth's orbit, the small human fleet aligned, every cannon armed but silent. Alien scanners painted their hulls in red targeting light. Lewis turned back toward the council. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about how you treat those you think are beneath you. The speaker hesitated. And what do you suggest, human? Lewis met his gaze. You wanted to judge humanity. Then hear the verdict, we will not kneel. For a heartbeat, no one moved. The galaxy held its breath. Then slowly the speaker raised his hand, signaling the fleets to stand down. The Drail ships hesitated, then backed away, their formation breaking apart under the weight of political pressure. Lewis lowered his voice. We're not helpless. We never were. You just never listened long enough to find out why. The chamber dimmed to silence again. Somewhere far below, Earth turned peacefully beneath the stars, unaware that for the first time the galaxy had paused, not from fear, but from respect. And in that quiet, every alien in the chamber realized something they had never imagined possible. Humanity had won the first battle without firing a single shot. The night side of Earth glowed faintly beneath a web of silver light. Thousands of alien ships filled orbit again, but this time they were silent, watching. The Council's fleet had returned, not to destroy but to observe. Humanity had shocked them during the trial, forcing the galaxy's most powerful races to question their own justice. But the Drail Consortium had not forgotten their humiliation. They gathered their armadas at the edge of Sol, cloaked in darkness, preparing to strike without the Council's approval. At Earth's Defense Command, the room hummed with quiet urgency. Screens flickered with moving dots, each one a potential enemy. Captain Mara Vance stood before the main display, her hand hovering over the glass. We have movement near the Kuiper line, she said. Formation looks deliberate. Drail ships heavy class. They're masking emissions, but not well enough. General Hawk walked up beside her. His voice was gravel. How many? Over 300. They're not sending scouts this time. Hawk's jaw tightened. Get the fleets in position. We hold them there, no one crosses Neptune. Earth's defensive ships were few but fast. They moved like hunters instead of prey. New stealth frigates curved through the dark, using the sun's radiation to mask their signatures. Humanity had learned quickly after their first encounter. They didn't need more firepower. They needed smarter tactics. As the Drail fleet entered the system, a pulse rippled through space, an encrypted human broadcast. Every alien sensor caught it, though no one could translate it. It wasn't a message of surrender. It was a song, a low, rhythmic pulse that echoed like a heartbeat across the void. Inside the lead Drail cruiser, Commander Vile hissed as the strange sound filled his command room. "What is this noise? Jam it!" But the sound wasn't a transmission. It was an interference woven into the local gravitational field. Human scientists had learned to blend quantum signals with gravity waves. The Drail scanners began to glitch, showing false images of human fleets appearing and disappearing across multiple positions. Vile slammed his clawed hand on the console. "They're toying with us." Back on Earth's command deck, Mara Vance smiled faintly as her plan unfolded. "We can't outgun them," she murmured, "but we can outthink them." The Drail fleet began firing at phantoms, imaginary ships projected by gravity resonance. Every shot wasted their power reserves. Human ships stayed hidden in the void, conserving energy, waiting. Then came the moment Mara had been waiting for. The alien flagship charged its main cannon, the one capable of vaporizing a continent. Its energy field glowed bright red as the weapon drew power from its core. That was the weak point, the moment of maximum vulnerability. "Target locked," said one of her officers. "Fire the Lancer array," Mara ordered. 3 thin beams of blue light pierced the dark. They weren't weapons in the traditional sense, they were coded data streams, fired at light speed. The beams struck the flagship's weapon field, uploading a virus designed to mimic the Drail's own command signals. In seconds, the weapon's charge reversed polarity, feeding back into the ship's core. From Earth's orbit, it looked like a dying star igniting in silence. The Drail flagship exploded into a massive sphere of white fire. The shockwave rolled across space, and for the first time in the galaxy's history, the Drail retreated. Mara turned to her team. "Signal the Council. Tell them humanity just defended its home without crossing their so-called peace laws." But the victory was not celebrated for long. Hours later, a new transmission arrived, from the Galactic Council itself. The message was not congratulations. It was a summons. The following day, a small diplomatic ship left Earth for the Council's homeworld, a colossal ring planet known as Verath. This time, Captain Vance herself was sent as Earth's representative. The Council wanted to know how humans had created a gravitational interference weapon. When her ship arrived, she saw thousands of vessels gathered around the ring. The Council had never been so crowded. Humanity had drawn the entire galaxy's attention. The Council chamber shimmered again, alive with alien light. Vance stepped onto the platform where Lewis once stood. She was younger, quieter, but there was steel in her voice. The speaker's many eyes turned toward her. "Captain Mara Vance, representative of Earth, you stand before this assembly to explain your recent act of defiance. The Drail claim you used an illegal mind weapon that manipulates perception." Mara's tone was calm. "It's not a weapon. It's understanding. You see, the Drail rely on predictability. They think in lines. We think in patterns." A ripple moved through the chamber. One delegate asked, "You use thought itself as a defense?" Mara nodded. "We used communication. You built your technology on dominance. We built ours on connection. You call it interference, we call it resonance." The Drail representative slammed its claw on the platform. "You invaded our minds with that sound. You made us see ghosts." She met its burning gaze. "No. You saw yourselves. Your fear reflected back," the Council murmured in unease. Some admired her composure. Others feared her words. Humanity's way of thinking frightened them more than any gun could. The speaker spoke again. "The Council has existed for 10,000 cycles. No species has ever defied both law and fear so completely. How is it that you, barely born to the stars, can stand here unafraid?" Mara looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of giants, creatures, and light forms older than human civilization itself. "Because fear is not the same as respect. We learned that on our own world long ago." Her words carried through the hall like ripples on water. Every delegate felt it, not through translation, but through tone. Human speech carried something alien translators couldn't process. It reached directly into emotion. The Council speaker leaned back, almost unsettled. "Your species wields words like blades. Is this your true power?" Mara smiled slightly. "Words are only dangerous to those who hide from truth." The Drail delegate roared in anger. Ban their communication technology. Silence their voices before they infect others. Half the chamber murmured in agreement. The other half watched Mara closely, curious, uncertain. Then quietly she spoke again. If you silence us, you silence progress. You fear our voices because they make you question what you've always believed. That's not infection. That's evolution. The words struck the chamber like thunder. Even the speaker fell silent. For a moment, humanity's presence filled the space larger than any fleet could. But far away, beyond the Council's reach, the Drail were regrouping. Their leaders saw diplomacy as weakness. They began building something in secret, a weapon designed not to destroy planets but to erase communication itself. Back on Verath, Mara was escorted from the chamber. A council guard whispered as she passed, his voice low. You've changed things here, human. They won't forget this day. She looked over her shoulder. Good, neither will we. As her ship departed, Verath's endless ring of light faded behind her. The stars ahead shimmered with new tension. The galaxy was listening now, but not all ears wanted peace. Inside the ship, her communications officer turned to her. Captain, if they come again, can we stop them? Mara stared out at the stars. They think strength is in weapons. Ours is in understanding. But even that has limits. Next time, we might have to show them what happens when words fail. The camera of history pulled back, showing Earth below, quiet and defiant, ringed by satellites that now glowed faintly with human resonance fields. They weren't weapons of war. They were shields built from sound, tuned to disrupt alien aggression patterns. Humanity had found a way to protect itself without firing first, but in the deep shadows between systems, the Drail fleets gathered again, their engines burning red like anger reborn. They no longer sought judgment. They sought revenge. And as the stars turned, a quiet voice from Earth whispered through the void, carried on frequencies no alien could block. You called us helpless once. You were wrong then. You're wrong now. The message echoed far beyond the solar winds, reaching places no one expected. On distant worlds, oppressed species who had never dared to speak began to repeat those words. The galaxy was changing, and at the center of it all, the small blue world called Earth had finally found its voice. The stars above Mars burned with movement. Thousands of alien vessels, sharp and silver, moved in perfect silence through the red horizon. The Drail Armada had arrived again, larger than before. 5,000 warships forming a spiral formation around the human colonies. Their energy cores glowed crimson, casting shadows across the dusty planet. Humanity's defenses were thin, a handful of orbital cruisers, drones, and the colony's automated cannons. But Earth had learned a long time ago that survival didn't come from strength. It came from thinking faster than anyone else. Inside the command bunker below Olympus Mons, General Elias Ward stood over the glowing war map. The holographic display showed enemy formations closing in like a tightening noose. His voice was calm, almost too calm. They're not here for negotiation this time, he said. They want to end us before the Council can stop them. His tactical officer, Captain Lyra Holt, looked uneasy. We can't win against those numbers. Even with orbital mines, they'll break through in minutes. Ward looked up at the ceiling as if he could see the stars through the rock. Then we don't give them something to break. We give them something they can't understand. From orbit, human satellites began to move, rearranging themselves into strange, spiraling paths. The Drail commanders watched the pattern unfold and hesitated. It wasn't a defensive wall or a fleet formation. It was something else. On board the Drail flagship, Commander Korath growled. They're drawing symbols in orbit. What foolishness is this? A junior officer turned to him nervously. They're transmitting through light pulses, sir. It's a signal pattern, Korath scowled. Then answer them with fire. The alien ships opened fire, red beams lancing toward Mars. The ground shook as explosions tore through the upper atmosphere. But something strange happened. The beams bent, curving harmlessly into space. The Drail cannons sputtered, misfiring as their targeting systems began to fail. Korath slammed his claws on the console. Report. Unknown interference, the officer stammered. Their satellites are distorting our guidance systems. They're not jamming. They're rewriting the sensor language. Ward watched from the bunker as the alien ships drifted out of formation, confused and blinded. They read our transmissions as light, he said quietly, but they never expected light to talk back. The humans had created a trap using photon-based code. Each satellite emitted sequences of pulses that mimicked Drail communication signals. The alien ships, controlled by semi-organic minds, tried to interpret the messages. The result was chaos. Orders rewritten, commands turned into gibberish. For the first time in the Drail's long history of war, their own fleet began firing on itself. Lyra's eyes widened as she saw it unfold. "Sir, they're attacking their own ships." Ward nodded once. "Good. Keep the interference running. The more they fight themselves, the longer we have." From the outside, it looked like madness. Red beams crossed through black space, tearing apart the Drail formation. Entire cruisers exploded under friendly fire. Within minutes, a third of their fleet was in ruins, but the Drail were nothing if not relentless. Korath overrode the corrupted systems, forcing his ships into manual control. He roared into his communicator, "Destroy the satellites. Wipe their tricks from the stars." Massive waves of missiles streaked toward the orbiting human network. Ward knew the defense wouldn't hold. "Time to move to Phase 2, he said. "Activate the Mirage Protocol." Far above, a small fleet of cloaked ships flickered into existence. They were prototypes, mirror-skin frigates that bent light around themselves. They released thousands of decoy drones, each projecting fake energy signatures of massive human battleships. The Drail scanners lit up with hundreds of false readings. Korath froze as he saw the data flood in. "Impossible," he snarled. "How can they have so many ships?" The human fleet, small, fragile, and real, hid beneath the storm of illusions. When the Drail fired at one decoy, the humans struck from another angle, hitting weak points with precision strikes. For every missile they had, humanity made it count. Down in the bunker, Ward's voice remained steady. "Remind them who taught the universe how to imagine." Hours passed and the battle stretched across the red sky. The Drail fleet finally broke formation, retreating toward deep space. The humans had done the unthinkable. They had turned deception into victory. But victory came with a cost. The satellites burned out. The colonies suffered power loss and communication with Earth was down. The silence that followed was heavy and uncertain. When the static cleared, a signal came through, an encrypted message from the Galactic Council. It was short and cold. "Cease all interference operations. You are destabilizing the region. Further action will lead to sanctions." Lyra frowned. "They watched the Drail attack us and now they blame us for surviving." Ward turned away from the display. "The Council fears what they don't control. We've shown too much." Back on Earth, diplomatic lines flickered with tension. The Council convened an emergency session. In their great chamber, the alien delegates whispered among themselves. Some called humans dangerous manipulators of light and sound. Others quietly admired their ingenuity. Ambassador Rian Kale, Earth's new representative, stood before them. He was younger than Lewis or Vance, sharp-eyed and calm. "You call us reckless," he said. "But what would you have done if your worlds were surrounded by an army that never listened?" The council speaker replied, "You turned your technology into deception. That cannot be trusted." Ryan's tone was level. "Deception saved our lives. Truth would have gotten us killed." The speaker's eyes narrowed. "Your kind reshapes perception itself. If every species learns from you, there will be no peace. Only confusion." Ryan looked around the chamber at hundreds of beings far older than his entire civilization. "Maybe peace doesn't come from control," he said softly. "Maybe it comes from learning to see the truth beneath the illusion." Whispers spread again. Some delegates began to side with Earth. The council was no longer united. Outside, above Varath's shining rings, ships moved quietly, observers, spies, and hidden fleets gathering to watch humanity's rise. The Drail had not accepted defeat. They had retreated only to rebuild. Their leaders planned something new, something cruel. They would strike not with ships this time, but with silence. Back on Mars, Ward stood on the surface under a copper sky, watching the stars flicker. He knew another storm was coming. "They'll return," he said quietly, "and next time they won't try to blind us. They'll try to erase us." Lyra joined him, her expression hard but proud. "Then we'll remind them again. You can't erase an idea." From orbit, the burned satellites reflected sunlight across the Martian surface. To any passing ship, they looked like 1,000 small mirrors, symbols of light in a red desert. The galaxy would remember this battle not for its destruction, but for the brilliance of a species that refused to fight with brute force. The Council's transmission arrived hours later. coded and uncertain. Earth's influence spreads. Many worlds are listening to your methods. You are changing the balance. Ward read the message, then smiled faintly. Good, he said. Maybe it's time the balance changed. Far beyond the Sol system, in the hidden shipyards of the Drail, workers forged something vast. Black ships that emitted no energy, no light, no signal at all. They were building a fleet that would not be seen or heard until it was too late. And across the stars, whispers began spreading once more. Some called humans dangerous, others called them brilliant. But in every corner of the galaxy, one truth had taken root. The smallest voice had learned to outsmart the loudest empire. As Mars rotated beneath the quiet heavens, General Ward looked up at the thin blue dot far away in the night sky. They called us helpless, he murmured. But they still don't understand. We don't need power to win. We just need to be heard. The wind swept over the red dust, carrying that quiet promise upward, beyond the thin Martian air, past the burnt satellites and fading wreckage, into the darkness where new wars were already being planned. And in that darkness, somewhere unseen, something listened. The fleet above Earth hung silent and cold, like a wall of iron giants blotting out the stars. Thousands of alien warships stood in perfect formation, black hulls gleaming with light from distant suns. They were the arm of the Galactic Council, sent to deliver a single message: surrender or vanish. Earth's defenses shimmered faintly in orbit, lines of human ships small in comparison, but still holding position. From the command bridge of the flagship Resolute, Admiral Kalen watched the screen as alien dreadnoughts moved closer. His crew waited for his word, the room quiet except for the low hum of systems. They're moving into firing range, said Lieutenant Rowe, her voice steady but tense. Kalen didn't blink. Let them, he replied. We'll make our point when they do. Outside, the alien ships opened their energy ports, preparing a single demonstration strike to disable Earth's shields. The Council wanted to show power, not mercy, but Earth had prepared something new, something not even the Council's archives knew existed. The first beam lit up the void, a white streak cutting through space like a blade. It slammed into the blue shimmer around Earth, and instead of breaking, the light rippled and vanished. The beam reversed its direction mid-space, bending backward, hitting the alien ship that fired it. The dreadnought exploded into a ball of fire. On the bridge, silence fell. Rose's hands froze above her console. They hit themselves? She whispered. Kalen smiled faintly. They hit the mirror, he said. Let them try again. The mirror defense grid had been a myth, a theory that energy could be folded back through quantum-lensed space. Humanity had turned the myth into reality. Now, for the first time, the galaxy would see what Earth could do when cornered. Alien fleets adjusted formations, engines burning blue. Then, as if in silent agreement, the entire armada began charging weapons. Space glowed with light from thousands of cannons. Earth's cities watched through global feeds, the night skies filled with alien light. Kalen leaned forward. Activate grid pattern theta, all power to mirrors. Let's make them understand. When the first wave of fire came, the space around Earth turned into chaos. The sky was a storm of light. Plasma beams, ion bursts, magnetic lances, all swallowed by the defense net. Every blast twisted, reflected, or redirected into the attacking fleet. In seconds, hundreds of alien ships were destroyed by their own fire. On the Council command vessel, Eminence, High Arbiter Varen stood motionless, watching the battle unfold on his screen. His advisors hissed in disbelief. Impossible, one muttered. No primitive world could develop that technology. Varen's eyes narrowed. Then we misjudged them. Withdraw the forward fleet now. But it was too late. The human fleet had begun their counterattack. Kalen gave the order, and Earth's ships advanced in perfect formation. Their rail cannons fired in synchronized bursts, tearing through weakened alien shields. What shocked the galaxy more wasn't the firepower, it was the precision. Each shot hit with mathematical accuracy, guided by an AI system that adapted to enemy movement before it even happened. In 1 hour, 1,000 alien ships were gone. Smoke trails floated like ghosts in orbit. Ro turned to Kalen, her face pale but proud. They're retreating. Kalen shook his head. Not yet. The Council doesn't retreat until they know why they should. He tapped the command screen. Send the message. A transmission pulsed through the network, reaching every council vessel. The humans weren't asking for peace or mercy. It was a single sentence spoken in calm human tone. "You called us helpless. You were wrong." The message repeated across the stars, echoing through council channels, news relays, and diplomatic archives. To most alien species, it was unthinkable. Humanity, once labeled too emotional, too unstable, too weak to join the Galactic Union, had just repelled the most powerful fleet in history. Hours later, the battlefield was silent again. The wrecks of alien ships drifted among the stars, some still burning. Rescue teams from Earth launched small crafts to recover survivors, human and alien alike. The war was not over, but something fundamental had changed. In the council hall far across the galaxy, panic spread among delegates. The news reached the upper tiers of power. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Others called for restraint. A few even whispered that humanity should be invited to the high table, not destroyed. But for Varen, pride was stronger than reason. He ordered the construction of a second fleet, larger, older, filled with ships from every loyal race. If humanity would not kneel, they would burn. On Earth, Kalen stood before the holographic council of human leaders. His uniform still bore scorch marks from the battle. "We've only delayed them," he said. "They will return, and next time they won't hold back." President Alara nodded slowly. "Then we prepare," she said. "We don't wait for their next move." Ro looked at her screen. "Admiral, incoming data stream from deep space probes." "It's not good." On the display, new signatures appeared. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds, forming at the edge of the solar system. The second fleet had already arrived. The command room went silent. Then Kalen spoke softly. "Then it begins again." The fleet's alarm lights turned red. Across Earth, defense platforms activated, hidden satellites powered up, and underground bunkers came alive. This time, humanity was ready not only to defend, but to strike back. In the void, the alien fleet stretched across the horizon. Massive carriers released waves of drones, their engines like faint stars. Between them moved ships large enough to block moons. Yet deep beneath Earth's crust, in hidden chambers, scientists worked around a new machine, the first prototype of the gravity lance. It was humanity's answer to the alien superweapons. In orbit, the Resolute took position at the center of the human line. Kalen stood before the viewport, watching the alien lights grow brighter. "They think they're coming to finish us," he said. "They have no idea we've already started something they can't stop." Ro looked at him. "And if it doesn't work?" He smiled faintly. "Then at least they'll remember what happened when humanity opened its mouth." Outside, the stars shifted. The second invasion had begun. But this time the humans did not wait for the first shot. The gravity lance charged, its rings glowing white-hot. With a single command, Kalen fired. A beam of pure gravitational energy tore through space, bending light, warping matter. It hit the enemy flagship, and space itself rippled like water. The ship folded inward, disappearing into nothingness. Silence filled the void again, broken only by the echoes of the blast. Every alien commander froze. The weapon had not destroyed. It had erased. Earth had just shown the galaxy a new kind of power. And in that moment, for the first time in history, the Council hesitated. The stars burned cold and bright over the silent battlefield, and humanity waited for their next move. Unblinking, unbroken, and no longer helpless. The stars above Earth burned red as the sky tore open. It was not a sunrise, it was the arrival of the final fleet. Thousands of alien warships appeared out of folded space, blotting out the heavens with their dark silhouettes. The ground trembled as their presence distorted gravity. Across every continent, alarms screamed. Humanity had known this day would come, but no one expected the storm to be this vast. From the command deck of the orbital fortress Eclipse, Captain Darren stood silent, staring at the colossal alien armada spreading across orbit. Every sensor showed the same impossible reading. The Galactic Council had united every major species in the galaxy under one banner. It was not a fleet, it was judgment. "Captain," said his first officer Lyra, her eyes wide, "we're detecting over 200 dreadnoughts, 40,000 cruisers, and millions of fighters. They've surrounded Earth." Darren didn't answer immediately. His jaw tightened as he looked at the holographic projection. Earth's defense grid was glowing with power, the final phase of the pulse array fully charged. Humanity had prepared for this exact moment. "Send the signal," he said quietly. Activate all stations. Every colony, every ship, every satellite. The array is now or never. Across the solar system, energy surged. Invisible lines connected Mars, Luna, Europa, and dozens of orbital platforms into one massive network. The pulse array began to hum again, low and deep like the sound of a storm building in the ocean. Outside, the alien fleet moved closer. Massive carriers opened their hangars, releasing clouds of smaller ships that shimmered like silver dust. Their weapons glowed faintly as they locked onto Earth. Lyra's voice trembled. They're charging their main cannons. They're going to fire. Darren's eyes narrowed. Then let them. The alien armada unleashed its fury. Tens of thousands of plasma beams cut through the void, converging on Earth in a sea of burning light. The sky lit up as the energy hit the defense field, brighter than any star. But instead of shattering, the shield held, and then it reflected, every beam bent backward. The pulse array absorbed the energy and rechanneled it, sending it back tenfold. Entire sectors of the alien fleet exploded at once, swallowed by their own fire. The void erupted into chaos. The first wave of ships disintegrated, their fragments glowing like shattered stars. But still, the armada pressed forward. Second formation advancing, said Lyra. They're using quantum shielding. The reflected energy won't affect them. Darren turned to the tactical display. Then we change tactics. Initiate mirror phase 2. Beneath the surface of the moon, a colossal structure awakened. Panels shifted, revealing a massive ring powered by nuclear fusion and folded space generators. The lunar mirror ignited, creating a beam of white energy that split into thousands of smaller streams, striking enemy ships from every direction. Each stream bent gravity itself, twisting ships into fragments before imploding them into nothingness. From the alien flagship, High Arbiter Kelran watched in stunned silence. They are manipulating gravitational constants, he said slowly. That's impossible. Not even our most advanced civilizations could. One of his advisors interrupted. Arbiter, the human weapon systems are feeding on our energy outputs. The more we fire, the stronger they become. Kelran's expression darkened. Then stop firing. Deploy the null fields. The alien ships released black energy domes, consuming all light. The mirror's beams scattered and weakened. For a moment, silence returned to space. The balance had shifted again. Lyra turned to Darren. The null fields are disrupting our systems. We're losing power across the grid. Darren didn't hesitate. Then we do what humans always do, adapt. He opened a secure channel. Command to all captains. Switch to manual targeting. No AI assistance. Human intuition only. Across the fleet, pilots and officers took control. Ships moved like living organisms, unpredictable and fast. They darted through the gaps in the alien formation, firing rail slugs, magnetic torpedoes, and kinetic rounds. The aliens, built for precision warfare, couldn't predict human chaos. Within minutes, entire sectors of the alien line broke apart under the relentless, disordered assault. On the flagship, Kelran slammed his claws against the console. They fight like fire, he growled. No pattern, no logic. Every move breaks our algorithms. Arbiter, said an officer, we can still deploy the world breakers. If we destroy Earth itself, the network will collapse. Kelran hesitated. Then he nodded. Do it! Massive weapons emerged from the alien dreadnoughts, each capable of destroying a planet. Their barrels charged, glowing with crimson light. On the eclipse and the sensors screamed. Captain! They're targeting Earth directly. Darren clenched his fists. Then we take them out before they fire. He turned to Lyra. Bring the core online. The Singularity Core? She asked, shocked. Sir, that hasn't been tested. We don't have time for testing, Darren interrupted. Do it. Deep within the eclipse, reactors activated one by one. Space around the ship distorted. The vessel's hull glowed with golden lines as gravity itself began to bend. Lyra whispered, Core is stable. Ready on your mark. Darren looked at the planet below, blue and fragile against the void. For Earth, he said. First, the Singularity Core unleashed its energy. A black wave erupted from the eclipse, silent and endless. It expanded outward, devouring light, matter, and energy alike. Every alien ship in its path froze, then shattered into particles that vanished into the dark. When the wave faded, the alien armada was gone. The space around Earth was empty, silent except for the faint hum of the pulse array. The bridge of the eclipse was quiet. Only the low sound of breathing filled the air. Lyra turned slowly toward Darren. It worked. The fleet? It's gone, Darren didn't smile. He looked out into the stars. No, he said quietly. Not gone. Just waiting, and he was right. Far beyond the reach of Earth's sensors, remnants of the Galactic Council's forces regrouped. The Arbiter's flagship had survived, hidden within folded dimensions. Kelrin stood in the shadowed control room, his tone calm and cold. They have shown their power, but they have also revealed their greatest weakness. They depend on unity, on emotion, on hope. He turned to his commanders. We will strike where hope is born. Not Earth, but their colonies. We will break their will before their walls. Back in the solar system, humanity celebrated its victory. The skies cleared, cities lit up in triumph, and across the world people looked to the stars not with fear but pride. Yet Darren couldn't shake the unease in his chest. They'll come again, he said to Lyra, stronger, smarter, and we'll have to be ready for that. What if they never stop? She asked. He looked at her and smiled faintly. Then we never stop either. In the months that followed, humanity expanded further into space. The pulse array evolved into something greater, a living network connecting every ship, every colony, every human mind. Together, they became the first species to merge thought with technology completely. And somewhere, far across the galaxy, the Council realized what that meant. Humanity had not only survived, they had evolved. When the next confrontation came, it wasn't fought with weapons. It was fought with willpower, ideas, and control over reality itself. The humans no longer needed fleets. They could reshape space through sheer coordination. As the Council gathered one final time, the human signal appeared across every system, broadcasting a message that silenced the galaxy. You called us helpless. You called us fragile. But the moment we spoke, the universe listened. And with that, the stars themselves seemed to shift, as if the cosmos bowed, acknowledging that the age of humanity had begun.